Welcome ladies and gentlemen to my STEM-DK PvE build Venom for Homestead. A few things changed, so let's just get into it. We are using the Thief Mundus Stone. Buff food wise, health and stamina, and the weapon crit pots. I will put the ingredients on my website so you know how to craft them. In terms of race, there's basically two free choices, so Redguard, Khajiit or Orc. I prefer Redguard simply because of the extra sustain it has. Khajiit has slightly more damage, but I see that they have a lot more sustain issues, so I recommend being a Redguard. But that's just me. Gear wise, a few things changed. Now, Twice One Star got a slight small hit due to aggressive Warhorn. So we are using Two-Fanged Snake. However, if you have Twice One Star in gold already and you don't want to gold out another set, keep using Twice One Star. Twice One Star has a few good things, like it gives a health bonus, because you see my health is very low. And especially in trials, like it can be very tricky to survive, so you might want to stick to Twice One Star. Another thing you can do is to get your health up. I am currently using 7 medium pieces. What you could do is 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy. Yes, you will lose 1% of DPS, but if you don't die then in trials, it's better. So Two-Fanged Snake, this stacks up to 5 times, so it's a lot of penetration, and we know penetration is basically the best stuff you can get in the game in terms of damage, as long as the boss is not already at 0. Then we're using 3 pieces Vicious Serpent set to get the Minor Slayer, and 2 pieces Velidreth. The reason why I'm not using Krag, do I have it? No, I don't have it. Is because we are already, like, with Twice-Fanged Snake and 2 sharpened weapons, we already have a lot of penetration, and when you have a tank that uses Alcast and like Pierce Armor, the boss will be at 0. So getting more penetration from Krag will basically result in a 0 damage increase. That's why I'm using Velidreth now. Gives us weapon damage, and it has a 20% chance to like spawn 3 disease spores, which deal a ton of damage. It's still like Velidreth cannot crit, but it still does insane damage. It's basically setup, all weapon damage and chance. Now we use Maelstrom weapons. I still use a dagger and the axe, simply because I like the bleed. And the Maelstrom bow on the back bar, make sure it's sharpened. I do have a non-Maelstrom setup on my website in case you don't have Maelstrom weapons. I know they're hard to get. Though now, like, if you farm Maelstrom Arena and you drop a sharpened dagger, you will actually get 2 at once. So that's a cool thing they introduced in this patch, so I really like that. Let's move on to the champion points. We do have 600 champion points available now. Warlord 100, Mooncalf 100, really easy setup. Nothing. 72 Thaumaturge, 97 Mighty and 31 Precise Strikes. It's just, I like to play around with this a little bit. There is a lot of good options, and the difference is usually not that huge. So if you want more points in Thaumaturge, go for it. If you want more points in Precise Strikes, go for it. Do not put points in Piercing, because we already have a lot of physical penetration. Now here, this setup is for Maw of Lorkers. I have 87 in Spell Shield, 13 Hardy, 100 Elemental Defender, because in Maw of Lorkers, especially the last boss, everything is magic damage, except the two-hander, but whatever. So we don't really need points in Hardy. If you go into a dungeon with a lot of physical damage or poison disease damage, put more points here and take them out from here. Basically the CP setup, really simple and effective. In terms of skills, now, Venomous Claw, This is basically the strongest and cheapest dot in the game. Makes sense, right? So the longer it lasts, like the higher the damage gets actually. So every 2 seconds you get 12% more damage, so it's insane. Steel Tornado, this is our AoE skill. Now now if you are fighting a boss, you don't need Steel Tornado, use Quick Cloak. Deadly Cloak, sorry. You see, like, reducing the damage you take from area of effect attacks by 20%, so that is very helpful. Then we are having Rapid Strikes. We need this to empower our dots with the Maelstrom weapons. And Rending Slashes, I will show you the rotation afterwards. On trash fights, what I usually do is this. Because there is so much AoE damage and it's already hard to survive on stamina, so you actually want to slot Deadly Cloak instead of Rending Slashes. Because you usually don't have time to dot up the enemies anyway, because all you do is like Endless Hail and Steel Tornado. So I really like the extra protection this skill gives. On boss fights, Rending Slashes, of course. It's an extra dot which can be empowered by Master Weapons. Expert Hunter. So those two skills, they are I never use them, but this gives me 5% more weapon damage. And YouTube passives, each fighter guild ability gives 3% extra weapon damage. So 3, 6 plus 5 is 11% extra weapon damage. It's really nice. Weapon swap, bow bar, Endless Hail. This hits like a truck. I will actually explain in a second why the bow bar is very powerful because of the Hawkeye passive. Many people seem to not know that yet, or just simply forget it because they like to block cancel. But you need to light attack cancel, believe me. Rearming Trap. Got a small nerf this patch, however is still very strong. Poison Injection, still a very strong skill. If you do have Maelstrom weapons, use it from 100%. If you don't have Maelstrom weapons, use it from 50% boss health. Cult drops. Now there's always a person that should use those because they do not stack but still does decent damage. And Flames of Oblivion, it's fire damage but it still does great DPS. And of course the Standard of Might, which buffs everything. I talked about Hawkeye passive earlier, so dealing damage with a light or heavy attack increases the damage of your bow abilities by 5% for 5 seconds. And it stacks up to 5 times, so you can get 25% more damage on your 2 skills. And this is your strongest skill, so it will hit even harder. That's why I say you don't need to block cancel animations, you need to light attack weave cancel. So just to showcase you, when we're gonna check here, you have Endless Hail, 2.15 crit, 1.38k non-crit, etc. Now I do the light attacks. So to see, we did the light attack, light attack, light attack. The first Endless Hail critted for 3k. Before, where is it? We have Endless Hail, 2.2k. Well, 2.3k versus a 3k crit. So that's 800 extra damage from doing 5 light attacks. So that's why, like, I always hear people say you need to block cancel Endless Hail. No, you fucking don't. Unless you want shit DPS. So now to show you my rotation, I will do it very slowly. Of course, before I engage, I make sure I keep Deadly Cloak up and Flames of Oblivion. Then I go in, light attack, rapid strikes, light attack, venomous claw, light attack, rapid strikes, light attack, rending slashes, light attack, rapid strikes, weapon swap, light attack, trap, another light attack, endless hail, light attack, poison injection, light attack, flames of oblivion, light attack, weapon swap. That's basically the rotation. So just to show you now in a fast succession. And here we are again. And as you can see, my dot tracker's down there. For me, Stem DK has the most simple rotation of all Stem classes because you literally don't need any buff trackers or whatsoever. Because you just can start your rotation, and the moment Venomous Claw runs out, you can basically reapply it. Like you are here again. So now just watch at the health of the target skeleton and look at my buff tracker. And watch the Venomous Claw when I'm there again. It run out and reapply. So you have like a 1 second cooldown on your Venomous Claw, which is basically perfect because you don't want to reapply it too early because you want the extra 12% damage. That's why I'm saying, like, yes, the rotation is super fast, it's fast paced, but you don't need any buff trackers or whatsoever because everything is in the rotation. Next thing I want to talk about is the standard. When to use standard? As you see, standing within the standards area increases your damage done and reduces your damage taken by 15%. So most people drop this at the beginning of the fight, but it's not how you should do it. What you want to do is drop it after your first rotation. Oh, let's see. If you have time, actually, like drop the endless hail and poison injection and then weapon swap. So I'm gonna do this and now start off with the rotation. And now drop the standard and restart. Why is this better? Like, why do this? Simply, when you do your rotation first and then drop the standard, all dots are on the enemy. So your standard 15% extra damage will buff all your dots. But if you drop the standard first, you have 0 dots on the enemy. So your standard, the extra 15% damage, will not be as beneficial as with all dots on already. That's why I say for a Stem DK, it's very important to first do one rotation and then drop the standard. So what is the most important here again? Light attacks on your back bar. You need to get used to it because you get 25% more damage. At least try to get 3, like a minimum of 3, and good would be 4, and of course perfect would be 5 light attacks on your back bar because of the Hawkeye passive. Many people seem to forget that. Another thing I want to talk about just very quickly is the off-balanced, the exploiter passive. So in this patch, most like groups or trial groups and 4-man dudes groups should make use of the exploiter passive. All the Zorks can proc concussion or like all lightning abilities, and if you have one person with a wall of shock, it will proc off balance immediately the moment concussion is on the enemy, except for stone and storm mobs kinda, because they're immune to that. So you will get 10% more damage. That is very fucking important. Just saying, just a tip. I will do a video about this issue or about this thing later on, I guess. That's basically it for now. I will try to upload footage like always throughout the patch. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.